Hello, guys, and welcome back to the FPL Duo. We are back for another stream on this Sunday evening to discuss Game Week 7. We hope everyone's had a good weekend. And yeah, we're here to discuss how our games week has gone. How you doing, Jordan? How's your weekend been?
Yeah, it's been very good. Hopefully everyone else has had a nice weekend so far. And yeah, the football's been a bit mixture, I think, this week. I'm not sure what to make of it. Hopefully you guys can get your opinions in the chat and see what you make of it. But yeah, interesting game week.
Yeah. Well, let's bring up my team first on the screen, as you guys can see. In goal, quickly go discuss what I had. So I had Raya in goal as well as the double Arsenal defense, as you see, with Gabriel in the defense as well. And this is one of the games we thought maybe Arsenal get a clean sheet, with one of those games where playing Southampton have been quite poor this season. And yeah, again, Arsenal have conceded in a game where we thought they'd keep a clean sheet. So a bit disappointing, because I was hoping they kept a clean sheet, because I do have, the Arsenal double up on the defense. But yeah, they conceded and then did come back, end up winning, I think 3-1 in the end. Moving on to Lewis. Now, Man City did end up winning, I think 3-2 in the end. They could have lost that game, to be fair. Fulham could have easily have won that one. Maybe a poor finishing sort of let them down. But Lewis did pick up an assist in that game, which I was very happy about, that he did end up getting something, even though he conceded 2. So a 4-pointer from Lewis, which I'll take, considering they conceded 2. But Man City's defense didn't look great. But, Lewis is in there. He's getting into attacking positions, and we'll see how it goes, because Man City do have some nice games coming up as well. So one to watch. Van der Ven, annoyingly, didn't keep a clean sheet. I didn't expect a clean sheet, to be honest with you guys. I just brought him in case he gets an attack in return. And no one, I don't know if the way the game went in the first half, he thought Spurs would probably win, comfortably. From the first half, I thought Spurs looking very good. And I did not see that coming. I don't know about you, Jordan, but first half, you thought Spurs should go on and win this. And then 3-2 from sort of nowhere. I thought Brighton were quite poor in the first half. But yeah, fair play to Brighton coming back and winning 3-2. So yeah, Van der Ven, only the blank there. Moving on to the midfield 5. Let's start with Saka. Now, Saka was the main man in that fixture for Arsenal. I did say, guys, do not sell Saka if you've got him. Don't bother switching him out for Palmer, because he's got the standout fixture against Southampton at home. And he went and got the best sort of highest scoring player this game week, 16 points. He got a goal and he got 2 assists and the 3 bonus, I believe, as well. So comes well with a 16 pointer, which is great. I was patient with him, even though he's returned most weeks. It's not been a big score, and I think a lot of people jumped to Palmer, because obviously after last week, Palmer getting 25 points. A lot of people sort of maybe knee-jerk to Palmer. I think Palmer's a great pick still for this week, even though he didn't score. It's just I wouldn't have sold Saka for him, and that was more the point. But yeah, Saka goes and gets the 16 points, and it's a great game week from him, and I'm very glad to own him, because I feel like I haven't had one of these big scores other than Haaland for some reason. Moving on to Mbeumo, yet again on the score sheet, he's becoming such an important player for my team. He's pretty much the Haaland of my midfield. He scores every week. Another 8-pointer from him. I think Brentford won like 5-2 in the end or something like that. So
5-3.
Yeah, big score from Brentford. Wolves looking. Was it Wolves they played, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, they played Wolves.
I thought they looked good against Liverpool when they played Liverpool, but yeah, it's interesting to see. They've conceded 5 again. 5 to Brentford. So yeah, the Wolves defense could be one we look to target in the coming weeks. But yeah, Mbeumo carries on his hot form. Semenyo blanks, unfortunately, in the 1-0 loss, I think, against Leicester. Leicester home clean sheet as well. So a bit disappointing from Semenyo. Expected a bit more. But yeah, 2-pointer, and I'll probably bench him next week anyway, when he's got Arsenal as well, I believe, next. Palmer, not the 25 points sort of as he did last week, but he still got an assist in the end for the goal. Chelsea did draw 1-1. Chelsea weren't great. They didn't have a shot on target, I believe, till like the 55th minute. because when they played Brighton, as much as how good Brighton are, but they do play an open, expansive football, and they do let you have chances. If a team sits back, we've seen today Chelsea can struggle for goals. But with Brighton and I'm looking at Chelsea's fixtures. Just bear with me. So the games Palmer's hauled in, 17 pointer he got against Wolves, which we know concede a lot of goals, and the other one came against Brighton, who we know would play open, expansive football. Palmer scored 6 goals this season. 4 of them have been against Brighton in that one game. So there is perspective to be taken as well, guys. But Palmer is one of those players I still expect to return. But he does have a tougher games coming up now. So it'll be interesting to see how he does, especially as I've just brought him in. So, but yeah, I'm okay with the 6-pointer this week. Rodgers, I did play him instead of Calvert-Lewin. He did outscore Calvert-Lewin by just the 1 point. So I'm sort of hoping, I was hoping that he does, but it wasn't sort of the game we expected. Obviously, a lot of people coming into this game, we thought, what could a scoreline be potentially with Aston Villa having a great week, getting the win against Bayern, Man United sort of struggling in the Europa League, conceding 3 goals. And yeah, it just didn't turn out that way. It was a very dull game, not much quality, I think, final third. Aston Villa struggled. Man United sort of just looked like this came to just get a 0-0. But yeah, 0-0 game. Much discussing really on that one.
Yeah, I thought Aston Villa would have been hyped up for that game, considering they won 1-0 against Bayern Munich. So it was quite a surprising result. And yeah, I'm glad that game wasn't the last game of this game week, because it would have been such a horrible one to end the game week on.
Yeah.
Nothing at all substantial in that game happened, apart from Bruno hitting the crossbar. It's probably the most exciting thing I saw in that game.
Yeah, it wasn't a great game in that regard, in terms of quality, that's fair to say. Up front as well, let's start with finish with the players I've got. Haaland, another blank. So back-to-back blanks from Haaland. Wouldn't be panicking yet. I mean, Man City did score 3 goals, and when I saw that Haaland wasn't involved in any of the 3, that is a surprise. Because usually, if Man City score 3, you'd expect Haaland to get at least 1, but nothing from Haaland. And he's got Wolves next though. And Wolves have been shipping a lot of goals, so I still think I'll be on Captain Haaland next week. But it makes it interesting because there was a chat where Saka could be. We did say Saka is a good captaincy pick this week if you want to go for it. Maybe next week there's someone else. We'll come on to game week 8 discussion in a second. And then finally, I've got Solanke to complete the attack. Solanke did pick up an assist, lovely assist. He just slid the ball through to Maddison, and a great finish from Maddison. The only thing I'm annoyed about slightly with Solanke, I feel like he's dropping too deep, and he's letting Johnson and Werner get more of the chances, and he's letting sort of what Harry Kane used to do, drop deep and feed the other 2, which for FPL is not good, but he's playing well. Solanke first half, I didn't catch most of the second half, but he played well. And I still think I'm still glad to have Solanke in my team. I think he's going to score goals moving forward, and Spurs have a decent run of fixtures coming up as well. So very happy he's in the team long term. And then finally, looking at the bench, there's not much to say. Fabianski, Calvert-Lewin got a blank after the 0-0 against Newcastle. Greaves and Mikalenko wasn't in the squad. I think he's still recovering from illness. But it is a much better week than last week. Obviously, last week I got a red arrow, but I'm back up to sort of where I was before I wildcarded, I think. Where I was around game week 5. So it's a green arrow, so a fairly decent green arrow, up to 2.2 mil now. Obviously, ranked still very early stages, guys. But yeah, 53 points all out. Better week. I'm hoping to break into that top 2 million. I think I'm like 4 points away. International break now, so I've got 1 free transfer going into it. I'll weigh it up, see what my team needs, but I could potentially even roll and just play the same team as you guys see on the screen. Maybe play Calvert-Lewin instead of someone like and bench Semenyo. But yeah, that's the team. 53 points. Let us know how you guys did in the chat as well, and we'll come on to your team in a sec, Jordan. Let's take a few of these comments. Hi lads, 59 points this week and up to 207k, says Patrick. Glad I saw Smith throw for Johnson. What 4.5 million and under defender would you replace Robertson with? Thinking of punting on Justin or maybe Aina or Milenkovic, says Patrick. Yeah, I mean, Johnson carries on his great run of form. That's now 6 goals in 6 matches for Brennan Johnson, and I think he's a great pick to have in your team, especially with Spurs' fixtures coming up. I know Spurs didn't win, but they still got goals in their team, and they could have scored a couple more, I believe. So I do like Johnson as a pick. And if you're going for a defender under 4.5, I like 8 Nuri of Wolves. I know Wolves, you're not going to get any clean sheets from 8 Nuri, but he scored again. That's back-to-back goals for 8 Nuri. He scored against Liverpool. He scored against Brentford as well. Back-to-back 9 pointers. And I'm looking at 8 Nuri in my own team as well.
It would have to be James Justin for me. He's got Southampton next fixture. So, yeah, definitely be him. The attacking threat he provides as the 4 million defender.
Yeah, in terms of obviously 8 Nuri, he does have Man City next. So I probably wouldn't bring him in next game week. I'll probably bring him in and bench him, or wait a week and then bring him in, because Wolves will get you goals, I think, still, but don't expect many clean sheets. But yeah, Justin could be interesting as well as a shout. Why is Haaland blanking again?
Probably because I captained him again.
Yeah, as Shaq says, just subscribed. Hope you guys are both well. No, thank you, Shax.
Oh, thanks.
Playing FPL because I got persuaded to, waiting for the game week to update to check my rank. You can also check your rank on livefpl.net. So if you want to see your rank, because it does update a lot quicker. Evening lads, 180k overall rank. Brought in Delat for Welbeck. Funny game still. Funny game this. Still have Eze, but looks like fixtures change for the good. What do you reckon, Jordan, with Eze and Palace looking still no wins?
Yeah, I think if I had Eze at this moment in time, I think he'd use up all 9 lives for me in the team. He had chance to score this game week, but again, it was just flat from Crystal Palace. I was actually surprised of how poor they were. Not really feeling Eze or any Crystal Palace players. I think now even though the fixtures have changed, I think my chances have run out for Eze now. I'm potentially swapping him out for someone else.
Brennan Johnson, as we mentioned, it could be one to go for Eze. He's around that similar price, slightly cheaper. So, yeah, I mean, looking at Palace's fixtures do turn Forest away, Spurs, Wolves, Fulham, but looking at someone like Spurs, West Ham next, Palace, Villa, Ipswich, decent fixtures as well. But you could keep the faith with Eze, but yeah, it's getting tough to sort of hold on to Palace assets because they still haven't won a game this season.
Yeah, and Eze's had 1 goal this season. He's had 4 blanks in the last 4 game weeks. The last time he scored was Chelsea in game week 3.
All right, that's sort of my team out of the way. Let's bring up your team, Jordan. Talk us through how your game week's gone. And just recap us for your game week 7.
Yeah, a bit of a mixed result of this because I wasn't expecting the points coming from these players. But let's start with the goalkeeper, Hermansen. I did say Leicester's fixtures now do swing to look really nice, and yeah, they got their first win of the season against Bournemouth. They did struggle though at the end. I thought Bournemouth were going to equalise and ruin the clean sheet, but thankfully not. Hermansen did keep it. He got 6 points, and yeah, very happy and comfortable to see the clean sheet finally for Leicester. Next, in the back 3, only 1 clean sheet from Keane against that Newcastle draw. There was a lot of chances in that game for either side, but none of them could really finish off the final product. But again, I never expected a clean sheet for Keane. I just played him just so there was more variation because I did have 5s there, but I didn't think Leicester would keep it. Well, I didn't want double Leicester defence. I wanted to spread it about a bit, but yeah, I'm happy that did work out for Keane. 6 points from him. Robertson, on the other hand, he didn't start. He was benched. Only played 11 minutes, so he was only rewarded 1 point. Robbed of another Liverpool clean sheet again. I feel like I've been very unfortunate and lucky in terms of Liverpool clean sheets, missing out on them. Only getting the 1, I think, so far with Robertson in my team. Finally, Gabriel. I am slightly annoyed with Arsenal because it took Southampton to score first for them to actually get going in terms of scoring goals. They had so many chances in that game to get the first goal or 2. But again, the shots weren't that great from players. And yeah, the clean sheet was white when Southampton scored the first goal. So only 2 points for Gabriel. Moving on to the midfield, there isn't really much I wanted to talk about apart from we spoke about Palmer getting his assist. He did get the other card too. So he ends up on his 6-pointer. I mean, he did get some bonus points too on top of that, which was, I guess, nice, especially if you did capture him for that game. Next, you got Rodgers, 3 points from him. He had a few chances, but again, that game was probably the worst game I've seen in a while in terms of Man United and Aston Villa. Maybe the midweek fixture screwed it a bit, but I was expecting a lot more from both sides in that game. Semenyo, 2 points from him. Obviously, Bournemouth didn't score. They lost 1-0 to Leicester. Salah, on the other hand, wasn't quite his best game. I wasn't surprised he got subbed off, if I'm honest, around 72 minutes. Wasn't really much involvement, a little bit quiet. Maybe a chance or two, but yeah, not very persuasive in terms of his form. And finally, McNeil, who I did bring in, did blank. He got a yellow card, got a clean sheet point, but nothing else from that game because it ended up in the 0-0 draw. I'm kind of annoyed because I was split between McNeil and Johnson. And there's obviously earlier on, Johnson did score a goal. So yeah, I was split between that decision. I kind of went McNeil, but hopefully long term, McNeil does return. And finally up front, obviously again, Captain Haaland didn't work out again. Blanked, even though Man City won 3-2. I think 2 goals came from Kovacic, one of the most unlikely goal scorers for Man City.
Yep.
So yeah, a bit. I suppose the game didn't go as quite as well as I thought it would be, so it didn't really matter if Haaland did score or not. And then finally, Chris Wood though gave me a bright light at the end of the tunnel for my team by scoring the goal in that 1-1 draw against Chelsea. So that was a bit of a delight. He also got a bonus 2 on top of that, so 8 points from him in total, which was very, very nice to see. In terms of the bench, there's only really 5 who got a clean sheet. I mean, I was going to play him over Keane, so it didn't really matter about whether I was going to put him on the starting level or not, because Robertson and Gabriel, there's no way I was going to bench either one of those 4 5s. And obviously Robertson blanked 1 point, and Wheatley was the non-playing goalkeeper, or non-playing forward, as well as Vardy Marston as the non-playing goalkeeper. In terms of this week, it is a slight red arrow for me. It was slightly on the borderline at times, but I think if Brennan Johnson, if I did bring him in instead of McNeil, he would get me a green arrow, but it's a slight red, 200k red arrow. Not so bad. 43 points this week, so not very high scoring game week for game week 7. But yeah, I'm quite happy. It's the international break now, 2-week gap, so gives us a lot of time to think about our teams. But yeah, not such a bad way to end, obviously, game week 7.
Yeah, we'll discuss game week 8. There is an international break, so yeah, about 2-week gap before the next fixtures. But let's have a look what the game week 8 looks like. I'll load up my bus team in a second. Just bear with me while I bring that up. But yeah, we'll also talk about some of the players that we like the look of from this game week. This is what my bus team currently looks like. As you can see, I've changed the formation already. I am playing 3-4-3. I've dropped Semenyo, who's got Arsenal at home, because it's a tougher game for him. I don't expect him to do much, but he'll probably go and score. As Arsenal have conceded, a couple of goals this season. So yeah, in goal I've got Raya and Gabriel. Got double up Arsenal on the defense. They got Bournemouth at home. Now Bournemouth will probably score, so I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal conceded. I expect Arsenal to win though, still. So we'll see how that goes. Lewis has Wolves away, so I think it's a good game for Man City. Wolves have just conceded 5 goals to Brentford. They conceded 6 to Chelsea. So Man City, who knows what they can do to them? I know Man City defensively weren't great against Fulham, but some might say it's one-off. We'll have to see. But in terms of going forward, Man City will still get you goals, and I expect Haaland to be back on it for this game after international break, and hopefully I can see potential, big score from Man City here in terms of the goals. I'm not being impressed with Wolves.
Yeah, that's a great question on just to touch on Man City. What do you think it is in terms of they seem to be struggling more against results, because they drew against Newcastle, and now they've just about got past Fulham at home, winning 3-2. What do you think? Is it? I know Rodri's out injured for the season, and he's not going to be able to play for the rest of the team from Man City. But do you think that's had a massive impact on Man City's
Yeah,
result?
I do think Rodri's made a difference. I think he would make a difference to any team because he's that good. But I think Man City have always usually had a slow start to the season. They usually do start off slow. They get a couple of losses or draws at the start, but then they go on a mad run and they win the league in the end. But this year it could be different. Maybe they don't hit that form as they usually do. We know they usually do start off quite slow. Even last season, a couple of losses to Brentford, West Ham, I think it was. But yeah, I think maybe it might be different this year. I mean, I still expect them to beat most teams and to again teams like Wolves. I expect them to put them to the sword. But yeah, Rodri is a big miss, definitely, and it's going to be interesting to see how Man City fare in these coming games. They've got a couple of tough games coming up as well against Liverpool. I think they've got to go to Anfield soon, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, one to watch with Man City. I think, but they're still the best team in the league for me, and they just got to go prove it. I think. Van der Ven completes my back line. I've got him against West Ham at home. West Ham got a good win for them on the weekend, but Spurs chucking away a 2-goal lead to Brighton isn't ideal. I could do a sub and play. I mean, Greaves against Everton. Probably don't want to go there. Mikalenko, if he's fit, I could play Mikalenko against Ipswich, but we'll have to see. But I'll probably play Van der Ven because he could get you probably attacking return potentially. In midfield, I've got Mbeumo, Saka, Palmer, and Rodgers. Mbeumo's got Man United away. Man United looked a bit better defensively today. It helps when they were I feel like Man United were thinking about, don't concede first. If we can get a goal, we'll get a goal. But I think Mbeumo's on fire, and I'm quite happy to play him in that game. Saka, Bournemouth away is a good fixture for him, coming off the back of the 16-pointer. He'll be looking to go for that one and try to sort of replicate it. Palmer had a tougher game. I do want to have a chat on Palmer because I've bought Palmer in now, and I already knew he had this tough fixture run. So he's got Liverpool away, going to Anfield. Liverpool's defense has been good this season. Liverpool have only conceded 2 goals in their 7 matches, and only given up an XG of like 6, I believe. Maybe even fewer. But Palmer has shown that he can return in any game really. So the next 4 for Palmer, you look at Liverpool, Newcastle, Man United, and Arsenal. So, I mean, what's your thoughts on these 4? If you don't have Palmer right now, would you be looking to wait till Gameweek 12 with a swing and bring him in, or would you bring him in now when he's got Liverpool, Newcastle, Man U, and Arsenal because you think he's going to return in those games? What do you reckon?
I did question this before, obviously, last game week, whether is this the right time to bring Palmer in when you just had Nottingham Forest? I did mention that was going to be a tough game, and they did draw that, and only Palmer getting an assist from that game. And now he's got Liverpool away, where in the last 2 fixtures before that, Chelsea have only scored 1 goal against Liverpool, be that being at Anfield, and obviously Chelsea playing at home as well. So I don't expect much involvement in terms of goals from Cole Palmer in the next 3, and obviously the next 4 when they're playing against the big teams. He might nick a goal here and there, but it's nothing going to be like a 25-pointer that he did in Game Week 6. So you shouldn't expect much if you're going to bring Palmer in now.
Yeah, with Palmer, I don't think you can expect 25 points every week, but I still think he will get you returns in the next 4. I don't think he might get an assist in these games. He might get you a goal or 2. I don't rule it out. And I'm still quite happy to own him personally. I think he might get you some returns in these games because I feel like if Chelsea are to do anything, as we've seen, majority of the time, Cole Palmer is sort of the guy who's created it or scored. So I'm interested to see how he does against Liverpool, Newcastle, Man U, and Arsenal. I think the tougher games here, obviously, Liverpool and Arsenal, I think those are tougher games for him, where Liverpool's and Arsenal defense, are 2 of the best in the league statistically this season. I think Liverpool are a top. Arsenal, obviously, we know they're strong defensively. Man United and Newcastle, though, there's no reason why he can't score against these teams, even against Liverpool and Arsenal. Don't rule it out. But yeah, it's interesting to see because he has shown, especially last season, that he does get you returns in nearly any game that he plays. So I wouldn't be transferring him out or anything like that. I've seen some people say, "Oh, do we get rid of him now and bring him back in?" But I'm just going to keep him, and I think he will get you points.
Yeah, he's definitely a keeper in the next 4, even if he doesn't get obviously a point or a return each game week here and there in those tough fixtures is good enough, I think.
Yeah. Keep Palmer, guys, if you've got him. If you on a wild card, I'd still have Palmer on a wild card. But would I bring him in if you don't have Palmer? I wouldn't bring him in personally. I'd wait until Liverpool. See how he does against Liverpool. If he had a great game against Liverpool, then you may want to bring him in against Newcastle if you don't own him. I would hold off the Liverpool fixture personally, going away as well. Fulham for Rodgers. I think Rodgers had that one shot, but again, with Rodgers, he's one of those players that he's not going to be a reliable goal scorer for you or anything like that. As I mentioned, he doesn't score that many goals, even in his I think when he was in Championship last season. But he's got 1 goal, 2 assists so far this season. I'm happy to play him in this fixture against Fulham. See how he does. Aston Villa weren't great today. I thought they lacked quality in the final third, but we'll have to see how that one goes. Up front, quite happy with the way the attack looks this week. Haaland, Wolves away, as we've mentioned. Wolves have been pretty bad defensively, shipping goals. So Haaland for me is captain. I don't think there's a debate for me personally. Still, I know Saka had a great game week. He's got Bournemouth away. You could captain Saka. I'm not going to look at Palmer against Liverpool personally. So Haaland for me is the standout for my team. Solanke and Calvert-Lewin complete the attack. So Solanke's got West Ham. I was disappointed with Solanke that I feel like he's more of the facilitator for Johnson and Werner, but I'm hoping he does start getting the end of it and try to score some goals, which I think he will. We'll see how he does against West Ham.
He's still getting used to that. Obviously, he's transferred from Bournemouth to Spurs, so he's still getting used to the team, the players around him. Yeah. And I think over time, he will become like a Harry Kane, more deliverer.
Yeah, I think he will start getting amongst the goals. He has got 2 goals already. So I'm hoping he can carry that on. So West Ham, Palace, Villa, Ipswich. He's got some decent fixes coming up, and I do like Spurs' games. And I thought Spurs were not good in the first half, so if they're going to keep playing like that. I mean, Brighton are a good team as well. We know Brighton like to attack. But Spurs' defense, don't expect many clean sheets from Spurs, I don't think, but they will get you goals. And then complete the attack, obviously, Calvert-Lewin, who blanked against Newcastle. I thought Calvert-Lewin was very unlucky. I thought it was a penalty for Everton, personally. I thought he should have had a penalty. I don't know if you saw it. I think it was Dan Burn just hacked him down. I think it was a clear penalty. So I thought Everton were a bit unlucky not to get one because obviously Calvert-Lewin would have scored. But I'm sort of glad he didn't get it because I benched him. So if he scored, and he probably would have got a 9-pointer with a bonus and everything. So, I think Calvert-Lewin is a good pick still. Good fixtures coming up: Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford. You can play him in all these games. He's on penalties, which he could have got one this weekend. And I think he will tick you along. So I'm happy to play him against Ipswich, see what he does. And that's the team, guys. I've got 1 free transfer. Now, I could make the move, so I'll show you quickly what I'm thinking. It's a move that I don't really need to make. It's more of a luxury move. I don't know if I'll do it because there's not really any need for it. But I'm quite tired of Mykolenko. I feel like I should have not picked him on the wild card. I know he played 90 minutes against Palace, and I know he's ill, so he will come back into the team. But he's 4.3 million. I just think for one, I got 0.1 in the bank. So if I take him out, I got 4.4. I just think for that sort of money, I'm a big fan of Aït-Nouri. I wish I went with Aït-Nouri on my wild card, but I guess I couldn't because the budget. Cause I had Trent initially, and I think they didn't allow me to afford him. But he's got. I mean, Man City is a tough fixture, but after that, Brighton, Palace, Southampton, Fulham, Bournemouth, and I wouldn't be bringing him in for clean sheets because I don't expect any at all from Wolves, who've conceded 6 to Chelsea, conceded 3 to Villa, 5 to Brentford. They are shipping goals, but if you look at Aït-Nouri, he got a goal and an assist in that 5-3 loss. Against Liverpool, he scored as well. He got an assist against Chelsea as well. He's only 4.4 million. I can bench him most weeks or I can play him. And I just think at that price and the attacking threat he has in every game, when I watch him, look, I'm looking at his goal involvement against Brentford, 0.28, against Liverpool, 0.4. So he does get decent attacking numbers, and I'm probably going to bring him in and bench him. So I'll play Lewis, Van der Ven, and Gabriel because he has Man City, but bring him in and then play him in game week 9. and that allows me to sort of use the 0.1 up and make my team, like my overall bench depth, look better. Because I do think you need a bench this year, guys, in FPL. And then I'm happy with the rest of the team. But if it does feel like a luxury move that I don't have to make, I could roll and have 2. But the worry is if he gets a price rise, then I probably won't be able to afford him. And I think Mikalenko could, drop. So we'll see.
Have you considered any other cheaper goalkeeper? Oh, not goalkeeper, cheaper defender than Nuri that may provide some attacking threat as well?
I mean, if you want to go cheaper than that, you got to look at the 4 million mark. And I really like Nuri. I wish I went with him on my wild card now, because now I have to make another move. But around the 4 million mark, there's Feist, but again, there's not much attacking threat from him. I know he scored 1 goal. He's a centre back. What about you? I mean, Van der Berg is there, but again, he's more for the clean sheets. You don't expect many goals from him. To be fair, who would you go for?
Well, for me, it's either, I think I had to pick, it's either Keane or Fires. I mean, Mikalenko's teammate Keane is what he switched away this week. Well, game week 8. Or Fires, you mentioned, has got Southampton away. It's the only teams where they're both away games, but you could nick a clean sheet from one of those two. I think Everton as well have turned a new leaf in terms of their form, winning their first game, obviously against Crystal Palace, drew against Newcastle, which I think is a good result away, or sorry, at home. So yeah, maybe one of those two saves you a bit more money as well in the bank if you want to maybe get.
I just think Nuri, the attacking threat, is so much better than the likes of Keane, or this guy's got back-to-back goals in against Liverpool and Brentford. And for me, that is quite impressive. And when I watch him, he's bombing down that side and he's getting shots, taking crosses in. 2 goals, 2 assists in 7 games in a struggling Wolves team. That is not bad. 4 attacking returns in 7 games, and he's only 4.4. He had a price drop, so I'm sold on Nuri. To be fair, I'm not looking at anyone else under that 4.5. You could go for. I mean, Einar was one I had who did decent. He's only got 1 goal. So he's not got any goals or assists. He had a couple of clean sheets. But yeah, Nuri just for the attacking threat, I think. There's Davies. I know he's quite popular with, he had 1 assist so far this season. Trying to think who else there is. Feist, I think he's decent. But again, with Feist, I think it's more clean sheets. He's not really going to get you a goal or an assist for me. I know you mentioned Keane as well. Could get you on a set piece. He has scored already against Bournemouth, game week 3. Fixtures are decent as well for Keane. But yeah, I think Nuri for me. If I bring him in, I'll bench him against City, and then I'll probably play him against Brighton, Palace, Southampton, these type of games, and he gives me bench cover as well. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking of doing for early sort of thoughts, unless something crazy happens with injuries and I need to take out Saka or Palmer or whoever if they get injured over the international break. What about you? Let's bring up your sort of bus team. How you lining up, and obviously early thoughts as well.
Yeah, I mean the fixtures for this week for my team look pretty good. Hermeson's got Southampton away. Reason why I wildcarded the Leicester players and for these nice fixtures now coming up for them. So I should see a lot more clean sheets. They gave me 1 already, so that gives me a lot of positivity going forward with obviously Hermeson and Fies. Going double Leicester defence against Southampton. We'll have to see how that goes. Pretty much the same with Keane as well. Everton drawing against Newcastle, winning their first game against Crystal Palace. So again, nice fixture, I think, for even though it's away. I think Ipswich do play quite good at home, but you never know from that fixture how Everton do play. I think they were defensively much structured and better, especially without Branthwaite and Mikalenko in there as well, which we have to consider too at the back of Everton defence. Gabriel, again, nice. I'm hoping for more clean sheets from Arsenal, because ever since I brought Gabriel in, it seems like I haven't had that many clean sheets from him, which again is like the FPL effect. When you bring a player in, they usually don't provide any returns for you. But I'm keeping the faith, obviously, with Arsenal. I'm seeing more clean sheets coming along the way. Just have to be patient and wait for them to come. In terms of midfield 5, quite happy. There's a mixture of tough fixtures in there. Palmer's against Salah. in the midfield five, so I don't expect much from either one of them. It's going to be a tight game. I think Liverpool will definitely win that game. Maybe Chelsea nick a goal from that, but I don't expect much from Palmer. More involvement from maybe the Liverpool assets in that game, especially at Anfield at home. Rodgers, on the other hand, spoke about him. A blank from obviously the Man United game. I felt like the midweek fixture, though, that Aston Villa did have an effect. Tiredness and some injuries as well, like tight hamstrings and other somewhat. So there was issues there in terms of injuries and lack of performance, obviously, from playing against Bayern Munich. But Fulham away, they got a 2-week break. Maybe they come back firing in that fixture. Semenyo, on the other hand, I will talk about him more because he's part of the transfer plan, so I won't go too much into that. And obviously, McNeil is the player transferred in this game week. Didn't get much against Newcastle, which I wasn't surprised at. It was a tough game for a result there, but he does have nice fixtures now, which is the reason why I bought McNeil in for the long-term effect. And hopefully he does provide some results in the next 4 nice fixtures that Everton do have. In terms of the front 2 forwards, got Haaland, who will be my captain again. I'm hoping he gets something at Wolves away. I'll be very surprised if not, because I imagine Man City will put a few goals behind that Wolves defence. A lot of teams have. Chelsea have already. Now Brentford just have as well. So I don't see why not. Man City are not capable of scoring 3 or 4 against Wolves. And finally, we've got Chris Wood, who kind of saves my game week a bit from a massive red arrow in that Chelsea game. Wasn't expecting actually a result from that fixture, but he does have Crystal Palace at home, who have struggled for results, have yet to get a win. And on the Forest, defensively have been really good, attacking as well, have been quite a danger. So yeah, I'm happy to play Chris Wood at home fixture against Crystal Palace. Now, you might be surprised, obviously, at the bench, because I do have Robertson there, who has Chelsea at home. That is that might be a possibility, because I like the fixtures my other 3 defenders have, and I don't know, the Chelsea one, I don't expect a clean sheet. Robertson does show a bit of attacking threat, though, for Liverpool, but yeah, I could see a 2-pointer coming from Robertson, if I'm honest. I mean, Liverpool will be on the attack a lot against Chelsea, but maybe not expecting much for in terms of Robertson. Maybe that bites me in game week 8, but we'll have to wait and see. Robinson obviously has Aston Villa at home. Not really hoping for a clean sheet there. He does show attacking threat though, but I'm keeping him on the bench. And obviously Wheatley and Valdi Master are non-playing players, so I won't delve too much into that. In terms of transfer moves though, let me just switch over to the transfer page for you guys, and I could show you what I'm planning to do. So I have 1 million in the bank with 1 free transfer. And what I was thinking to do is, because I mentioned this on the deadline stream about McNeil and Johnson, I wanted both of these players in my team, because I feel like the next 4 game weeks for them are going to be really good, going to turn out really good results. So to fit Brennan Johnson into my squad, I don't want to take out Palmer, obviously, or Salah, or Rodgers. I can't stretch to that Rodgers. The only player I can take out is Semenyo at 5.6. And Johnson is tight around that budget, around 6.5. So I only have 0.1 million left in the bank if I do commit to this transfer. So I might need to do it early. If Johnson does rise in price, he might not, obviously. There is 0.1 million there to afford to make him rise in price, but I kind of prefer to bring him in before the price rise. So in case that does happen, I might bring him in early. But he does have West Ham at home, which I feel like is a good fixture for Spurs, because West Ham, I know they just won 4-1 against Ipswich, but it's not the most challenging, not to put obviously Ipswich down in terms of their form, but it's not the most challenging game for them. I think the Spurs one will be a step up for West Ham, and being a away fixture for them, I think Spurs will have a good one, and that's Johnson's 5 or 6 consecutive goals now for him, so he is on fire for Spurs at the moment. So he's definitely one player I'd want in that midfield for me against that fixture. So that is my transfer moves. Obviously, that's just 1 free transfer. Leaves me 0.1 million in the bank, so that could be a possible move I make in terms of my team.
Okay, interesting. Obviously, we know Johnson's that's 6 goals in 6 for him, all comps, I think. doing really well. So yeah, it could be a good move. Especially Spurs do have a good run coming up as well. Let's take a few comments as well. Where are we going? McNeil for Eze as a comment. Yeah, you could do that. Eze, you could also go to someone like sorry, the player you're looking at,
Brennan
Brennan
Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah, Brennan Johnson also you could go there for Eze. Good fixtures coming up. Should we wait till game week 12 to get Palmer? I say see how he does against Liverpool. If you don't have Palmer, I think wait and see what he does against Liverpool. If he goes ahead and does it again against Liverpool, which he might do, then you probably want to bring him in. But I don't think his priority having to bring Palmer in before he plays Liverpool at Anfield. Personally, Robertson benching was unpredictable. Yeah, I mean I didn't see that one coming. I think with Robertson, he will start against Chelsea. If you were unsure on that, Jordan, he will definitely start against Chelsea. It seems like sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, I wasn't very much about him starting or not for Chelsea. It was more like the clean sheet probability, and obviously he doesn't provide as much attacking threat as Trent does in the team as well.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, with Robertson, yeah, he can get the odd benching because it does seem that Slot likes to sometimes rotate him out for Tsimikas in the odd game when we know Liverpool have a lot of fixtures, tough games coming up as well, so they do need to rotate. Szoboszlai also dropped out as well. Back in Haaland, obviously we're both thinking Haaland captain for game week 8 early days, but I don't see myself backing against Haaland against Wolves, especially with the goals they're conceding at the moment.
Yeah, I feel like if I switch captain now to someone else, because honestly, I don't know who I would switch it to because they have difficult fixtures: Salah, Chelsea, Palmer against obviously Liverpool. There's not many other options to go for.
Yeah,
I don't have Saka either for Bournemouth, so yeah, Haaland captain, outstanding for my team.
Are you concerned about your lack of Arsenal assets at all in terms of the attack? Obviously, Saka did well this week. They've got some decent games. Do you have any plans to bring him in the near future? Or
no, in terms of Arsenal players, in terms of the attack, no, there's no real thought about bringing them in. I know they scored obviously a lot against Leicester and Southampton, but they were easier fixtures for Arsenal to score more than what we've seen in previous games where they've only scored 1 or 2 goals to win the game. I feel like it will revert back to that when they're playing against like teams like Bournemouth. I don't see them putting more than 2 behind them. So, yeah, I'm not too worried about it. Obviously, this game week it was a bit more of a concern because Saka had the best fixture of this game week, which he got a 16-pointer from. But I feel like that will sort of settle down the next fixtures that Arsenal have.
Okay. Sisonk, I went with my gut and triple captain Saka. Finished the game, we got 83 points. Fair play. Obviously, Saka, triple captain, paid off for you. 83 points is big in this week because especially it's a low scoring week. McNeil or Johnson, who is better? I think they're both good picks. But if I had to pick one, I think I would side with Johnson slightly just because he plays for Spurs. I think they're a better team.
Yeah, I agree. I think Johnson just nicks it in terms of, in all comps, 6 goals for him consecutively now. I mean, McNeil, he did have a tough fixture against Newcastle, but I think he's a good player. He does have a lot and goal involvement wise. It might be unlucky at times, but yeah, Johnson, I think, just does it for me in terms of the attack.
Shax says, I have a similar first 11 to me. Only differences are Fleck and Raya, Trent Lewis, and Wood Solanke. Only one free transfer, yet to use any chips, went to wildcard. If you're in a position where you feel like you don't need a wildcard, I think the next time you're looking at maybe game week 12, because there is a swing in game week 12, and then you can maybe bring in the likes of Palmer or whoever. There is quite a swing in 12, so you may be looking at game week 12 there, Shax, before you wildcard. DCL, the best 6 million and below striker is DCL is a question. So yeah, I mean the DCL I think is up there. I think Chris Wood as well is up there. For me, those two are the ones I'd be going for. I mean, Welbeck as well. I still think Welbeck is a great option, guys. He scored again this game week. Should have had 2 in the first half. A really nice ball from Mitoma outside the boot. He should have scored. So I still think Welbeck's underrated, personally. What do you reckon, Jordan? Obviously, you've got Chris Wood.
Yeah, Yeah, I was underestimating, I think, Brighton, because I did mention their form slightly dipped in terms of their results. But I think after today against Spurs, I might have to rethink that, because Welbeck did score, nice goal, got a nice 8-pointer along with bonus points. So, yeah, he could be on the radar. He's got Newcastle next. He's got a couple of tough ones, Liverpool, Man City in 10-11. But if Brighton keep the form they did against Spurs like that, I think, again, Welbeck could be a nice option, especially in the absence of João Pedro.
Yeah, I like Welbeck. I like DCL personally out of all of them, just because DCL we know he's on penalties as well. So that's why I ended up with DCL, because he's on pens, plays 90 minutes. And Everton do have some decent fixtures as well. Even though there is that worry, DCL's injury record isn't great, but we'll have to see. Shaq said if he was you, Jordan, he potentially would downgrade Salah to Saka, then have funds to upgrade your third striker potentially up to Solanke or whoever, a more expensive striker. I mean, have you considered Salah? I mean, Salah hasn't scored now for 2 games? I think he hasn't scored in the Prem for 2 or 3 games. I can't remember.
He scored in Gameweek 6 against Wolves.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I mean,
he scored against Wolves, didn't he?
He had 4-4, so he's had 4 goals, 4 assists. I mean, I'm a bit reluctant to take Salah out of my team, even though he has a very tough run of fixtures, Chelsea, Arsenal next. I still think I want to keep Salah in there, just because I don't want to miss out on his points. I mean, his ownership is still quite high, just under 40% as well.
Yep.
Kind of hovering around the Palmer mark of ownership, but yeah, he's still a quality player. I think I want in my team, and he's the only Liverpool asset I do have, or apart from Robertson. In terms of the attack, though, I still want to keep Salah in.
Yeah, it's always you can take the money out of Salah later down the line. It's going to be interesting to see Liverpool in these tougher runs, because Liverpool have had some easier games on paper. Obviously, no game in the Premier League's easy, they do say, but Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool defense, we'll have to see. I think Liverpool have been impressive defensively, I think, this season. The numbers don't lie in terms of the expected goals conceded. But yeah, it's an interesting debate around Salah. Do we sell him? I think it's fair to, if you are looking to sell Salah, I mean, Michael also saying, is it worth selling Salah now for Saka? Going back to my team, obviously I own Saka. Jordan has Salah. Looking at Saka's fixtures, he's not got the easiest games either. He's got Bournemouth, which is a nice game for him on paper, but then Salah and Saka play against each other. And I'd back Salah to score in that one instead of Saka personally. Newcastle away is an easy game. And Chelsea away isn't easy either. So yeah, I think the fixtures are for both of them are quite tough. Comes down to captaincy, I guess, as well. We're probably going to captain Haaland, so you may not need to have Salah in that regard. Is he captain worthy for the next 5? Probably not. So maybe you can do something else with the extra sort of 3 million that Salah is more expensive than Saka with that extra 3 million.
And I think also we have to consider as well with like Haaland, what if he blanks in the next 2 when he has Wolves and then Southampton? Let's just say that scenario, and we decide to want to captain someone else instead of Haaland. Then you've got a Salah there, even though the fixtures aren't that nice, but it could be a good alternative if Haaland is to blank further in game weeks and Salah goes on to return.
I'll be honest, when you look at Saka and Salah's fixtures, and then you look at Haaland's next 4, even if Haaland blanked against Wolves, I'm still captaining him against Southampton personally. Even if he blanked those 2, which I think is unlikely, I'll still captain him against Bournemouth. That's how, on Haaland I'm at the moment. For the next 4, I'm not even considering anyone else. No, even if he doesn't score, even if he has a stinker against Wolves, I'm on Haaland next 4. No, whatever happens. Are you the same? I mean, I know you may not be as bullish on Haaland, but yeah, basically I'm captaining Haaland regardless of performances for the next 4 games.
I mean, does it feel with much confidence after him having a back-to-back blank after not captaining him for the entire time he's had returns, and then suddenly he's just switched off of scoring a goal. Yeah. And after the Rodri injury, obviously missing Kevin De Bruyne, weren't really many players feeding the ball to Haaland or seeing his runs either in matches. So he kind of has lost that. I don't know. It's a funny one, but it would be interesting to see what he does in the next 2 game weeks.
Yeah, I'm on Haaland personally. I just think he still has that potential to get you a hat-trick in these games. Hopefully Foden now is back into the frame. It helps out as well. So he's a big player, and he can hopefully step up like he did last season. Obviously, when KDB missed large chunks. But yeah, let us know, guys. Is Haaland sort of a set and forget captain for you for the next 4 game weeks? I mean, I'm personally not interested in captaining Saka against Liverpool or Saka against Newcastle or even Salah against. I mean, I'd rather captain Salah probably in those tougher games because I think Salah he's a big game player. He does score in these big fixtures sometimes. He can get you goal and assist. So, but yeah, no, I'm not looking at anyone else but Haaland. Michael also said, "Good evening, guys. How about Son? Interesting option. I mean, we have not really looked at Son. I do have Havertz and Antonio who done wonders.
Son's
I
still
think I like
injured.
Son, but yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hamstring injury.
How serious is it? Is he back for game week 8? It's got a 2-week gap.
There's a 2-week gap, but I mean, it's unsure with hamstring injury. I think it's quite serious. It's hamstring injury, so it might take him a few games before he gets back into the swing of it.
Yeah. If Son was fit, I definitely think it would have been an option about selling Salah or selling Saka potentially for Son. When you look at the fixtures, West Ham, Palace, Villa, Ipswich, and especially if Son was playing and he played these easier games, if Son played, maybe he would have scored today because he's a big improvement on Werner on the left side. So definitely Son, I think, would have been an option. It's just a shame he's unfit because he would have made it a bit more interesting, I think, because I do think some people would have went with Son. I think De Bruyne is far more important for Haaland than a Foden. Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, De Bruyne is probably Man City's most creative, or he's Man City's most creative player. But we do forget, he did miss large chunks of last season, and Foden did sort of step up. And what I think sort of Foden was sort of, in the conversations of Player of the Year or Young Player of the Year. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Man City do. I think they're so good that we just expect them to bounce back and sort of thrash Wolves. But
yeah,
yeah, it's going to be interesting, definitely. But I still like the fixtures, and I am a manager that does like to play fixtures as well. I know form obviously is important. Yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, that's just a point. Just the last point on obviously Haaland, that certain individual players in the game do not provide the ball to Haaland. And obviously, for him to score, you give that ball to Haaland to feed it into him to score. But you don't really see the players do it. I mean, I think Stephen mentions it, which is a good point, that they need to play Savio and Doku, who do get Haaland involved in games. Otherwise, it's just playing around him most of the game. And they're always really looking at him or looking for his run. So I mean, it does depend on what players play around Haaland and whether he is a good asset.
Yeah, I still think Pep Guardiola is sort of experimenting with those wide players. Like he's playing Savio and Doku, then he's playing Grealish and Bernardo. I still don't think he knows exactly the wingers that he wants. But I think once he settles on it, we'll start seeing the Man City we expect. I'm keeping Salah, Saka, Haaland for the next 5 or so game weeks, maybe whole season. Depends if I want Palmer really. Yeah, we spoke on Palmer, Salah, Saka. They do have tougher games, but it's just at those prices in terms of the premiums. We put Palmer, Saka as premiums, Salah as well. Is there anyone else you want to go to? Because their fixtures are all tough, and they sort of all play each other. Obviously, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Liverpool. Again, Son would have been the one, but until he's back from injury, we don't know because he's the other premium sort of at that price. At about 10 million. I mean, who else is at that price range? Not really anyone else. I mean, Bruno hasn't really sort of filled anyone with any confidence for this season.
I don't think he's had a goal yet this season so far.
Yeah, he hasn't yet. Maybe unlucky. He could have had a return, but at the premiums, the only other one is Son, and he's injured. So, yeah, I think if you've got Saka, I think definitely either keep. Bournemouth are definitely a keep. Liverpool, Newcastle, Chelsea, I'll still probably hold out. Palmer's the same. I'm happy to play Palmer in these games. The only reason why I prefer maybe Saka over Salah is because captaincy. I'm not going to captain Salah for the next 5 or Saka, and Saka's 3 million cheaper. But we know Salah obviously does have hold potential as well. So it's one of those. It's sort of hard to call. Abdullah has 58 points, but that bonus is good. Yeah, as long as you got green arrows. I mean, 58 points this week should be a green arrow, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Depending on your position, obviously in rank, the average is not that high this week. It's pretty low. It's around my points actually. The average around 43. So yeah, 58 without bonuses, I think is a good result.
Yeah. But that's probably it, guys, from us. We're going to take a break from at least a week, so you won't see any streams from us next week. We'll be back again. Obviously, the week after, back to normal. We'll do the transfer tip video and transfer tips and team selection, and then the deadline stream as usual. So make sure you guys do tune in for that stream. Should be a good one. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up. I hope you guys have enjoyed the stream. If you have, please do hit that like button. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel as well. Get us to 2K subs. What were we going to say about sorry, forgot what I was going to say. A few more comments coming in as well. Shaq says great content. Thank you.
Thanks, Shaq.
Got 75 points minus 12, so 63 in total, says Michael as well. So yeah, that's a really good score.
Wow. Minus 12. Interesting to know who you took out for that minus 12 to get 63 in total, Michael.
Yeah, and still getting a pretty big green, I'd say, if you manage to get 63. But yeah, join us next week, guys. Hit the like, subscribe to the channel, share the video, all that good stuff, and we will see you shortly. Anything else you want to add, Jordan?
Enjoy the break, guys. International break for 2 weeks. So yeah, you can relax a bit from FPL, but it will resume shortly. But then take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you very soon.